and welcome to Tables,
Lists, and Chairs. Welcome to TLC here on WrestleTalk, where we pick a specific wrestling category, then give our own top 10 entries in that category, and then reveal them one by one. And today's category is the worst of 2024.
Very broad.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about.
Last year, or maybe the year before, you had like 50 matches on the long list of worst matches of all time. There's only like 2 matches on my list.
There would have been 3, but I've managed to include one of them into a broader topic. And that's kind of why we wanted to do
Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez.
the worst of 2020. Oh, no, 4 then, because I've got that added into a different one. The worst of 2024. So, like, all things across wrestling. Bit of admin, not include any of the Vince stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think we can all agree that is the worst of 2024.
Yes.
But that is just, that's a given. Let's talk about more of the fun worst things.
Things that happened on screen.
Exactly. Our number 10 picks get 1 point, and number 9 picks get 2 points. Number 3 picks, no. You get the idea. And then at the end of it, we total up all of our scores, and we can come up with a definitive top 3 worst of 2024.
Hello out there. If you like TLC, make sure you sign up to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to get a bonus exclusive episode of TLC this month where Luke, Sullivan, and I rank the best wrestling attires of all time. Here's a clip.
Even his idea to do it. He's been getting away with this for years.
No, someone
It was Scott Hall, wasn't it?
Yeah, Scott was like, hey, I saw this cool movie. Why don't you do that? It worked for me with Scarface.
The only man to watch movies in wrestling.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
That's pretty
So
cool.
we're
You know what?
That's a handshake.
We're gonna say that's the same thing.
Because Ollie's got the original Rock and Roman plans, and you have got, Tempest, the first Cody Rock segments, which is obviously
It's the same thing,
a
I'd say.
combination of. And I've gone for Jericho in 2024.
How dare you? The Ishii slow walkaway segment.
That is
Hi,
why.
guys.
That is why it's at number 10. Because I'm not saying it is the worst of 2024. I'm saying it's it's number 10 for a reason. There are some moments in 2024 where Jericho has made me say, son of a bitch, he's done it again. And I've actually kind of liked it. But I think the majority of Jericho segments have not been good. In particular, can I shout out the one where Orange Cassidy dropped a load of coins on Jericho's car?
I'd put that in the furthest reaches of the back of my mind. Oh my God.
It was going to get its own individual in there.
That's an Orange Cassidy fault.
That is a Jericho in
That's a
2024
Cassidy
problem.
thing. No, Jericho. That wasn't Jericho doing the coin drop.
It's the Jericho vortex that sucked Orange Cassidy in and made all of his
pennies.
and all of his segments worse. But yeah, Jericho in 2024, not my favorite.
What the ever-loving were they thinking? Like, you've gone with the overall kind of the idea of the plan.
Yeah.
I went with like the first step that we actually saw on TV. It is, I've seen the doc. I've heard all the things that people have said about, you know, what the direction for WrestleMania originally was. It is unfathomable that could ever possibly have made it past an idea in a boardroom. And I get who is probably pushing for that idea, probably has the loudest voice in that room, but my God, man, the backlash to this segment alone, after waiting a year for Cody to finish his story, to just be like, here you go, Rock.
I'll do
that's
it
why
at
you should-
SummerSlam, I guess.
That's why you shouldn't have finished the story. I think we all agree on that. I totally concur with everything Tempest just said. The reason it's at number 10 on my list, and maybe your list as well, is because they course corrected.
That's
100%.
Yeah.
So spoilers, it is not on my list for that reason, because it was a course correction.
Because I was weighing up, like, do I put this on or the one that just missed my top 10, which was Joe Hendry not winning the TNA?
He won the Turkey Bowl. What more do you want?
And I thought, actually, this could have been more catastrophic. Like,
Yes.
if they didn't course correct, imagine the year we would have had.
They did see this and went, nope, and fixed it, which is good. Fix things.
3, 2, 1. Oh,
Oh, okay. Wow.
Tempest has got AAA as a whole.
All of it.
all the major video game releases of the year.
Every single one.
Oliver Davis has got Mercedes Monet's babyface run.
Yeah, I couldn't remember where the accent went on the
Everywhere.
E. So I just, just to hedge my bets, did the
Even on
little
the
thing on the
S.
S.
And I've gone for the Elite versus AEW.
That should be way higher. Spoiler for what's on my list. That is at least a top 5.
Again, reason why it is low, I like the first angle. When they attacked Tony Khan and Shad Khan came out, awesome. It's probably one of the best things that AEW has done all year.
But in a funny, stupid way.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I liked the inclusion of Jack Perry. I liked Okada being part of the group. There was a lot in there that I really liked. I think Okada's comedy run has been actually really entertaining. But the story went sort of nowhere, led to a lot of forgettable matches, and then just sort of died because they were like, oh, let's just do the Mox one instead because that's actually way cooler.
Because that doesn't make it look like Tony Khan isn't booking his own company.
Let's also not forget this made Christopher Daniels Adam Pearce light.
Yeah, the assistant to the regional manager.
For all the people on the internet that want to bitch and moan about WWE being the worst promotion, or AEW's the worst promotion, or TNA's the worst promotion, nah. All y'all are fools. The actual worst promotion in wrestling, by far, is this one right here. And listen, I'm not gonna pretend to be like a massive AAA fan, but when I've got Conan going on his podcast and bitching and moaning about AEW doing this and that and ruining everything, and he's going out there and booking notable prick Alberto El Patron to be your world champion. Your main event of Triple Mania is Del Rio against Dolph Ziggler with a run-in from JBL. You get a spot on the list.
I don't like Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks as a babyface. I find her incredibly robotic. She just doesn't have the sort of personality or performing style that connects with me in a way I want to cheer for her. Which is more frustrating because she is the complete opposite as a heel. She's so good as a heel. So AEW brought her in with a heel character, but made her a babyface for like 3 months.
I guess the theory behind that is, or the thinking behind that is, if you bring in a big star, they're going to get cheered. So you may as well book them as a babyface coming in because they're going to get babyface reactions even if they're being a heel.
So Okada?
Well, Okada's slightly different.
Well, how's he slightly different?
Because he was funny.
But so Mercedes could have been if she was brought in as a heel.
Yeah. And also
From the start.
But the Okada thing was a surprise. Like, that was a genuine shock heel turn as opposed to, like, we're just going to bring Okada in and be Okada. Like, we're going to bring him in and completely change everything about Okada, which is why it sort of worked. He comes out of babyface pops. No one boos Okada, which means that
Exactly.
which means
But he's getting a reaction.
yeah, and she was getting a reaction.
Apart from CEO, which is like one of the more horrible openings to any entrance theme.
Yeah, that's not
Please,
the crowd. That's
here's
in
the chant.
That's not
Here's
the crowd.
chant.
That's in the theme song.
Yeah.
It's like Seth Rollins. It's in the theme song.
Yeah.
It's not the crowd doing it.
We went past the whole Willow Nightingale feud that really didn't work with Sasha as a baby face. We could have had Sasha Bailey again. And do you remember the Lights Out attack?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I actually have your board for a second? I just want to make a little amend to it. It's because you're like, it all got better once you became a heel. Once you became a heel, we had that celebration segment, which you really did not like.
Yeah.
But she had a party backstage.
Bad WWE. 2018 WWE.
And the
It's
Britt
so
Baker
much
match.
Yeah, but at least I like her more now.
3, 2, 1.
Hey! The WWE Tag Division for Luke and I, and Jay versus Jimmy Uso on Ollie's list.
Surprisingly low.
I never thought it was going to be good.
They did.
They did, but a lot of people seem to get really excited, and rightfully so. It's a big part of the Bloodline story. People wanted to see that part have a good conclusion, but I don't know. We've lived through so many brother versus brother feuds, and they rarely work.
What are you talking about? Man, Jeff?
Shut up.
What about his dog?
Yeah, and the broken universe stuff was fun.
Yeah.
You can only do brother versus brother feuds with
In another
loads of
universe.
layer of meta. When I was researching, a lot of people had this as the worst thing as their 2024 moments.
I think it's probably up there as WWE's worst match of the year.
yeah.
Certainly in the top few.
I would say so, yeah. There's probably like some TV ones that are worse, but like as a main top stage match with one of the biggest storylines in the company, I think it is a bit of a letdown. But the reason why I've got this at 8 and not higher, because I'm actually so sad about WWE's tag team division and Triple H's apparent lack of efforts. Triple H hates this division. Is because the Motor City Machine Guns are here now. Maybe it's on the up. Maybe it's Peanuts on the up. Maybe I'm being optimistic here. I'm being like Ollie optimistic, and it's going to be Peanuts on the up for the tag team division. Man, in 2024, particularly on the Raw side of things, it's been so piss poorly booked, it is now part of their character that it's been piss poorly booked. Because they actually make reference to it. It's like, we never defend these tag titles anymore. Isn't that hilarious?
The the SmackDown side is much, much better. I'm not
I
saying
don't
it's
know about much
yeah,
better.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but you get that ladder match with GOD versus, was it DIY? Was it three-way?
Well,
ladder
that's
match?
it. Like with the SmackDown side
Like
of
there
things,
have been big things that happened this
Yeah.
year in the SmackDown tag division.
that's what I mean about most of the machine guns. It's like them DIY get to have some matches. GOD less so, but at least then you get like it's not A-Town Down Under who won't break up. But at least I have had my Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin in there, despite the fact that this WWE crowd do not want to give them any reaction whatsoever.
Well, they're not WWE stars, Luke. People
They
cheer
are
for
now.
WWE stars.
Arguably the best segment of the year is a New Day tag team segment on Raw.
That I'll give you. Again, that's why it's not completely high up on my list.
Yeah.
It makes me sad that it's not better.
Man. To go from WrestleMania 39, where the tag team titles, for the first time ever, were contested in the main event of one of the nights of WrestleMania, one of the hottest stories, and the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, to then take that and take all the way through the rest of 2023, almost, and just have great tag matches with KO and Sammy against the Judgment Day and various other teams on Raw. That was a real hot period for both the tag division and for Raw in general. Then it goes on to the Judgment Day, and they go into a 6-month feud with the Awesome Truth. And then you go to WrestleMania, and I'm sure there are people that were happy with the decision and everything, but I'm sorry, the two worst teams won the tag belts at WrestleMania, and the tag division has never recovered from it.
I think it was right for Awesome Truth to win.
Sure.
Because you have
Yeah.
been building that story of Awesome Truth and the Judgment Day. The problem was they then held on to those belts.
I would have had the Awesome Truth lose to the War Dogs the
Yeah.
next day.
Yeah.
You have your WrestleMania moment,
That's
same
it.
as Zack Ryder at that one Mania.
It's all it was done for was to give our Truth a WrestleMania moment, which he's never had.
You know, and I'm glad he got one.
Glad he
But then
got
you
one.
look at the rest of the year, and the tag titles have not been on pay-per-view since WrestleMania.
I keep forgetting
That's
that Judgment Day happened.
insane! There's so many pay-per-views!
3, 2, 1.
The soul of AEW from Tempest.
Ollie has got the undisputed United Kingdom era faction thing twice.
Yes.
And I have gone for post all in women's division brackets AEW.
The soul of AEW.
Was he a Rampage character?
No,
I
he's the
didn't see
main
him.
character of this company at this point. Because this, to me, I've kind of combined the Death Rider story currently with the AEW versus the Elite story,
yeah.
where the main character throughout 2024 in AEW has been AEW, the brand. I hate what AEW has become. We're taking over AEW. We created this place. We're gonna kill the boss and run rampant and all this. You can do that once, and it didn't work. Don't do it again. I kind of have turned a bit of a corner, negatively so, on this Death Riders deal because I don't like it anymore. Wrestling is supposed to be about personal stories. I don't care that these people are fighting for the soul of a company that resembles nothing compared to what it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's the restore the feeling thing.
Restore
right?
the feeling and all this. Bro, like, okay, sure. If Will Ospreay's going out there and saying that, fine, because Will Ospreay's an actual goddamn character, but none of the baby faces that have gone up against these heels have actually done that. Bryan Danielson and FTR and whoever else was on their team, Darby Allin, they didn't have anything to fight for. They then went from Anarchy in the Arena to Blood and Guts 2 months later, and that interim period was just, those elite, we got to protect this company. From what? Tony Khan sat right there. He's in Gorilla.
There was nothing on the line.
No.
Either. There was no control of the company.
No.
It was just
Gave that.
matches.
So looking back on it now and thinking back to those podcasts we did, I gave that storyline so many chances. Because you used to say, it should be for something. I was like, it'll get somewhere. I think this will build, and it never did.
It's everyone in the company going it's not that good, is it?
It's gonna get good, guys. It's gonna get good.
Yeah, that's a lot of the promos are. Is they're hey, I know we're in a down period at the moment, but we can all restore the feeling, right? And we can all do this together.
We entered 2024 with the stage set for the Undisputed. What's their name again? It's not the Undisputed. It's Kingdom. I wrote it down twice wrong before we came in here. Yeah, the Devil's story wasn't the best told. I didn't hate it as much as other people. But okay, the reveal was there now. It's Adam Cole, and he's got all these people around him. But then Adam Cole suffered an injury. Rather than sort of pivot around that or adapt around that, where Cole could be this menacing, wheelchair-bound mastermind presence on commentary, just like a Don Callis figure, they just removed him.
This whole thing's been cursed.
Yeah.
It's been cursed. And it was never working, and it wasn't working at the start. It was inoffensive in the middle. But then what it's become.
They had the opportunity to just drop this.
The kick in the dick at Revolution.
Yeah, and be
There
the
it
end
is.
of it.
Brush
That's
it under. So it didn't work. Blah, 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 blah.
And Adam Cole had his whole deal when he came back and he was like, I'm going to do this on my own now. I don't want the kingdom with me. And I was like, you and I did the review, being like, great. Let's just pretend this never happened and move on. You're a babyface now. MJF's the heel. And you can go into a program. We don't have to reference this.
The Kyle O'Reilly stuff involved. I'm like, I'm not liking you because of all this. I think it's a real disaster of a storyline.
It is bad, yeah.
And twice.
Yes, I forgot that's why you got twice on there. Yeah. Exactly. I was so excited for Mariah May to win the belt and then go on this great run. You can set some stuff with Mina Shirakawa. You've got Jamie Hayter coming back. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do. And they did none of it. The TBS title has been cold ever since, and the Women's Championship has been cold ever since. They did nothing. They tried nothing and are all out of ideas, basically waiting for Mina Shirakawa to come across or for Toni Storm to come back. And because of that, for 6 months, this women's division has done all.
What about that time they just randomly turned Chris Statlander babyface with no angle? They tried that.
You're absolutely right. They did try that. 3, 2, 1. Oh, WWE's will they, won't they book it?
That's really fair.
I hate this so much.
AKA, maybe long-term storytelling isn't the best thing in the world.
Have you put tag team division on here twice?
Honestly, it's a very good point.
So that's number 6 for Tempest. Ollie Davis has got Billy Gunn versus Jay White. And I've gone for Adam Copeland's rah-rah speech.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too long on this because it ties into what you just had previously, but I don't think AEW handled that Ariel Helwani interview particularly well.
No, in multiple ways.
This Copeland speech, did not go down well. Neither did Billy Gunn versus Jay White.
I think if anyone says Jay versus Jimmy is the worst match of the year, actually I can understand that because of the stage and the storyline going into it. But the actual worst match of the year is Billy Gunn versus Jay White, a match that's 10 minutes of Billy Gunn beating up Jay White for Jay White to then cheat to win with a low blow.
That was a DQ finish.
Was it?
I'm
He
pretty sure.
didn't
He
even
didn't even
win
win.
Yeah. This was at a time in the acclaimed Guns Bullet Club Gold thing, which I was really open to because I really like the Guns as a tag team. And, Jay White's great. Juice was out at this point. I thought, okay, let's merge them all together. We know where this is going. The trios belts were hung up in this throughout all this as well. Yeah.
Do you know what's daft about that as well is that they did this angle to unify the ROH and AEW trios titles because we got too many belts. And then about 3 weeks later, they brought back the Ring of Honor trios titles.
Yeah.
So why did you unify them then?
Yeah. But specifically this match.
Because
Because all that stuff around it, definitely.
actually forgot it was a DQ finish. I thought you were right when it was, because I knew it was a low blow, and I was like, oh yeah, and that's how Jay then pinned Billy Gunn. No, it's worse than I remember, because Billy Gunn wins.
This coming after the previous year's Full Gear, where he had the match against MJF, who was kayfabe injured, and he had to beat a one-armed man, really. Was it one-legged? I can't remember.
Both.
A limbless man he just about managed to not beat in half an hour. And then this is gross negligence of booking.
Yeah.
May I also quickly just say, tired of Billy Gunn. It's not a new thing, but he's just lingering around doing garbage like this and then running off Okada at Forbidden Door. Don't understand it, don't want it. Anyway, just break up. A-Town Down Under has been teasing a breakup for a year. They've been doing the Tiffany Stratton Nia Jax tease, the exact same angle on like every pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do that as the payoff of every single show. Is like, oh, I'm gonna cash it. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Oh, you caught me. Oh. Every single show. It's the tease for Survivor Series. It's the tease for Crown Jewel. They do it every month. We did it for a year with the Judgment Day, with Finn and Priest.
We're still doing it.
We're still doing it in this, and it's gonna go into. I've seen the way JD McDonough was looking at Finn Balor this week. They're gonna start doing it within the Judgment Day again. It just is never ending. You can do a long-term story, and that's good. But a long-term story is not just doing the same thing you did in Chapter 1 12 times in a row for 3 months and calling it a long-term story. There's no development in any of this. There's been no development in Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, and I'm sick of it!
That, for me, is the thing. There's so many of them. Street Profits. Teasing a split.
God, yeah.
It's the New Day teasing a split. It's Judgment Day teasing a split. It's Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair teasing a split. It's A-Town Down Under teasing a split. It's there's like, it feels like there's every Imperium teasing a split. There's only one tag team I can think of that like each other, and it's the Party Girls
and the Pure Fusion Collective. But I wish they would tease some dissension.
Yeah, some of them need it.
3, 2, 1. Oh, the Undisputed Kingdom makes another appearance for Tempest. Oliver has got Gunther's world title reign.
5th worst? Holy hell.
And I have got Judgment Day drama. I'm sick of the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And I have been now for 18 months. Either or get off the pot. You need to break up or just stay together. Be friends or hate each other. Be one or the other. You can't do the same thing over and over and over again. When they broke up after SummerSlam, there was a genuine like social media trend of like one of the great factions of all time. I mean, I can't believe the Judgment Day's come to an end. What an all-time great faction. They were going to rename them Street Trash, and the social media backlash to breaking the team up, and they kept the name. And now they're just doing the same shit they were doing previously. It's the worst faction in WWE history.
Whoa.
I mean, it's not.
It's not. It's absolutely not. But it's my least favorite thing in WWE and has been for getting on for 2 years now.
It infects so many divisions as well. The tag division.
And the women's
Damian
division.
Priest division and the women's
Judgment
division.
Day Vortex.
The Judgment Day Vortex, like the women's title has been lost because of the Judgment Day bullshit. The tag title has been lost because of Judgment Day nonsense. Damian Priest has done all this year as world champion, no less.
Gunther beat Damian Priest
because
thanks
of the Judgment Day
Finn
drama.
Balor. Yeah. So this is only something that has, maybe it's recency bias, because I wasn't even aware that Gunther was having a bad world title reign until about 5 days ago. I've been sort of defending Gunther's world title reign. Like, oh yeah, it's funny that he said the thing about Goldberg to Bret Hart, but then he did the feud with Damian Priest, where the whole idea was, you're not very good, are you, Gunther? You're losing your mojo. You're low on confidence. And I was like, I don't want that from Gunther. And then I think it was you who said, Gunther's title reign has not been good. There's no like real classic feud. Finn helped him beat Damian. He beat Sammy, but Sammy, love him, is a mid-carder. Cody beat him. And then we got the same Finterference finish for Damian Priest.
The only one he's had was Randy.
Oh yes, there was a Randy
He
Orton
beat Randy,
match.
but like I think we said this on the podcast. That match only happened because of the botch at King of the
Mm.
Ring. Had that botch not happened, they would not have done that feud.
There is a very workable template for a Gunther title reign, and it was the Intercontinental title reign, and they booked it incredibly well. And it's like they've looked at that, and rather than just do it again but even bigger, which is what I would have probably done, they've decided, no, we should take the creative direction of the Invincible Gunther is boring, so now that he's at the top level, we will give him some sort of chinks in his armor. It's not working. Now he seems to be turning babyface, which is just a terrible prospect, I think.
Yeah, it's not what I would do.
And Kaiser's got tension with him as well.
Should be better.
Yeah.
And that's why I can see it. Like the gap between expectations and reality might be enough to put it on a list like that. It's not
X-Men
on
3.
mine.
It's X-Men 3 The Last Stand.
It always comes back to The Last Stand.
That feels harsh. Anyway, I hate this faction. Honestly, at the midpoint of the year, when it was just Roddy and the Kingdom as a trio, I'm like, okay, fine. What have we been doing since Adam Cole came back? Since Adam Cole came back, this is the worst program on pro wrestling TV.
I don't know.
Oh,
This
no,
is
this
the
is
worst
worse.
program. No, at least people care about Liv and Rhea and Dom.
I take that back. You're right. These at least do social media numbers.
Yeah, nobody in the buildings or online gives a single solitary about Kyle O'Reilly talking Adam Cole out of a fight that for no reason. I have no idea what the motivation of any of these characters are. Why do the Kingdom, the Matt Bennett, whatever his fucking name is, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, why do they want to fight MJF? Them two and Roddy only disliked MJF because Adam Cole chose him over them. And that was all a ruse anyway. There's no reason for like 3/4 of this faction to give a shit about what they're doing. And it's on every show with Kyle O'Reilly, noted not great promo guy, going out there and trying to do a soliloquy about why Adam Cole couldn't win a fair fight against MJF. It's bullshit.
My favorite thing about it is because
Sweating right now.
because Roddy has been comedy goofball for so long. He grew a mustache because it's like, well, that could make me a comedy guy. I'll wear glasses and a mustache and I'll shout someone's name. And then they're like, oh, now we've made him a goofball, but we need him to do a serious feud with MJF. How about the week before MJF brings up that his mum tried to kill his dad, and then Roddy has to cut a serious promo where he's now a serious guy. And I'm like, no, he's the mustache guy who says people's names loudly.
It's exactly as you said. This could have just been the firm. Sweep it under the rug. Forget it ever happened. But they have chosen, and they started that way, but they've chosen to go back to it.
Yeah.
It has been the wrong decision every single week since they've made that decision, and they've stuck by it. And I cannot, for the life of me, understand why.
3, 2, 1. Oh, close.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got Billy Gunn versus Jay White at number 4. Oliver Davis has got the Judgment Day Vortex. And you've got WWE Women's Division at number 4.
I sure do. There are people in the audience that do not care for the long world beater reigns of your Bianca Belairs and your Rhea Ripleys and such. That's fine. We have swung so far in the opposite direction, especially in the case of Liv Morgan, who I'm sure is very nice and I know has loads of fans, but I'm not one of them. Her matches are terrible. She's not a credible world champion,
Which is WWE's fault.
which is WWE's fault, and her one single lone title feud has gone on for the entire year, and it has just lost all of its steam.
They did not know how to pivot from the injury.
Yeah.
Because Rhea goes out with the injury after Mania, and they're like, okay, we're going to go into a Rhea and Liv program. Oh, Rhea's now injured. Well, we'll put the belt on Morgan, and then we'll just wait for Rhea Ripley to come back. What are we going to do in the meantime? We're going to wait for Rhea Ripley to come back. That's the answer. So Liv just does nothing.
Don't put the women's title on Liv Morgan if she can't go out there and beat people. The SmackDown section was actually going quite well for a while this year. The Bayley run to WrestleMania and all that was great. Nia Jax is a horrible wrestler as of late, having a terrible performance in the War Games match, having a horrible performance at Crown Jewel, a horrible performance at Bad Blood. I didn't like the match where she won the title at SummerSlam. And yeah, you might throw in a couple of decent ones on TV, but overall, that's your women's champion that you're you're asking to carry your goddamn division, and she's doing a bad job.
Better than what she was, though.
Yeah.
She's not hurting people, which is a low bar to overcome.
And she's overcome it. So credit to Nia Jax.
Yeah, she's most improved.
Yeah.
So I tuned in to the live stream reactions for a brief period of time you did for Survivor Series, and it is the chat being like, "Man, Nia Jax sucks," but it's sat on the show being like, "Nia Jax is great and she's really improved." She's done it. Then live chat being like, "Well, this is not the match to be doing your Nia Jax defending of," because Nia goes in there and up everything she tries. The Judgment Day.
Well, it's everything you said. It's the vortex. They suck in the women's division. They suck in Gunther's title reign that I had at number 5. So that's like 2 top titles that they've and the tag belts that they've just got hung up inside them.
So, I mean, it's pretty much everything that you said earlier. This is the classic example of older wrestler saying, "That doesn't work for me, brother." In a wrestler from a period of time where it was more about getting yourself over than it was anyone else. I am the lone defender of Billy Gunn versus Darby Allin because Darby Allin hit 4 offensive moves in that match. It made sense that Billy Gunn kicked out of 3 of them, but then at least he won. Jay White did not win here. This is a really dog shit match, and this is Billy Gunn at his absolute carny worst. 3, 2, 1. Oh, wow!
Oh, we were so
We've
close
missed each
with
other.
a few.
So at number 3 for Ollie Davis, WWE Women's Division booking for Tempest, the AEW Women's Division post All In, and for me, it's Jimmy versus Jay, Yeet versus No Yeet.
No yeet.
We'll go on then. In the city of brotherly love.
It makes sense on paper.
It did make sense on paper, it really did. But that is exactly one of the reasons why I don't like this thing. I get that yeet is over, and it is massively over. Do you know why? It's an easy thing to go yeet and to say it. It's a one-word thing. It's why yes got over so much. It's so easy for Watts. It's the reason why Watts been over for 20-odd years at this point.
Stop it.
Because it's
Enough.
an easy thing for people to chant. You can't do no yeet. It doesn't work in the same cadence. And also, it's stupid. You're trying to do a serious storyline and it's built around someone saying no yeet, and then you had to do a serious promo segment with Jey Uso when Roman Reigns going no yeet and walking away. It's like, you sound like a prat. You sound like an absolute pillock. I can't take this seriously. And then it's a really rubbish match. And it's the same people who rag on the Young Bucks for doing nothing but super kicks, who said nothing when this match took place, because it is nothing but super kicks. Not very good ones either. It's a boring, boring match. And they themselves have said, we did not live up to the expectations that we set.
This ranks 1 spot higher to me than WWE's women's division because we had it. We've been saying this for 5 years, and finally they had it. And then what happened?
Yeah, I guess Jen Pepperman got ill.
I don't know, bro. This,
What, the writer of the Celebration Mercedes Moné segment?
This
But it felt
drives
like
me nuts.
It felt like as soon as she came in, all the women's division stuff got better. I don't know what happened.
You had everything at your disposal to do. Jamie Hayter's come back. Willow Nightingale super over. She's having a great feud with Chris Statlander, who is getting really over as a heel. You've got Mercedes Moné, who's still a big star and had a dud against Britt Baker, but you know what? The internet sure felt like they could put more of the blame to that on one side. So you still got Mercedes Moné to work with. And then the rest of the roster, who is also great. You still got Thunder Rosa. You've got Hikaru Shida. There's ballers in this division. You just needed to push Mariah May as this big-time world champion star of the show, and she didn't have her celebration for 3 months.
Because they were waiting.
They were waiting for
Mina-
what?
For Mina Shirakawa to come in. And
For what reason?
well, that's it. That's the most frustrating thing, is you didn't need to wait. You chose to wait.
Yeah.
You didn't need to wait for Rhea Ripley to come back from her injury. You chose to wait for her to come back. You didn't need to wait for Toni Storm to start doing teasers. You waited. You chose to. And I think that's terrible booking. I think that's bad planning.
Yeah, it's very disappointing.
It's November, so I guess we're on a team together, even though they would have been feuding 2 weeks beforehand. And then to add in the mid-card women's titles, which I'm for. I think that's a cool move, but they don't have the depth to deliver on both brands having their own mid-card titles, which means that I think the SmackDown one seems pretty decent, the sort of names they've got in there. But the Raw side is gonna be kind of dead on arrival because the winner will be, sorry everyone who likes her, but she's not a star, Dakota Kai or Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah.
They should have just waited for when they get some of those names back, like a Becky Lynch, like a Charlotte Flair, like an Alexa Bliss, so the first champion could be a mainstream star to get the belt over.
I completely agree. But it's even worse than that, because even if you have somebody that people like a Lyra Valkyria or a Dakota Kai, win the belt, who do they then feud with?
Yeah.
Because look at the depth of the tournament. It's non-existent.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, Chad Gable at number 2 for Tempest.
This has really bothered me.
The Elite Takeover angle, very high
Oh, I
up on
hate it.
Ollie Davis's
Hate
list.
it.
And mine, WWE Women's Division. I think we have pretty much said all of our piece right now. I don't think there is anything that says what the state of WWE's Women's Division more than the fact that the Unholy Union won the tag titles at Clash of the Castle. It doesn't matter anyway. Just put the belts on, then they can have their feel-good moment, and then we'll do with it, and then just put the belts back on Jade and Bianca when we're ready. And so that's it. There's a lack of care.
Yeah. It's because AEW were, I felt, in a good place at the start of the year. Yeah.
First few months were great.
World's End had the big devil payoff, and it didn't work, whatever. But yeah, January with the Samoa Joe title run, you had Hook as the biggest rating of the year, I think, if you take it on the CM Punk footage. Is Samoa Joe versus Hook, because they just went back to basics. They built a guy to challenge a strong world champion. And then by the time April comes around, they're panicking, I guess, and they have this idea to do the heel elite taking over the company. And they did the angle where they beat up Tony Khan, and Shad's there. And, the Tony Khan selling was weird. I don't care about that. I just took it for its storyline purpose, and I was excited because I thought, well, actually having a heel authority figure for AEW might get around a lot of the whole, we need to get the feeling back for this company. Just turn the company heel and use the babyface wrestlers to one day overthrow them. That's how you restore the feeling, by showing, not telling. Within 2 weeks, Tony Khan was back around, and you had this weird conflict of Tony Khan's booking matches, but the Elite can book matches. And now Christopher Daniels is the assistant to the regional manager for no reason. There should have been a control of the company angle. They should have won definitive control of the company, and it just fizzled out into nothing. Like last month when the Bucks ran away from TV, a really big missed opportunity.
When Chad had his great series of matches with Gunther in the back half of 2023, when he didn't win, everyone was just like, oh, just wait. Just wait, WrestleMania, it'll be fine. Wait, Chad Gable will get his moment or whatever. And then Chad doesn't get his moment at WrestleMania. Sammy does. It's like, okay, I guess you're just supposed to be happy for Chad that someone else has won the title and Chad trained him or something. Okay, it was still the most fiery babyface that Chad Gable's ever been. The most over babyface he's ever been. Immediately after they turn him heel. I wouldn't do that. Here's a great up-and-coming babyface that you can turn into a babyface that people are really behind. That's not the time to turn someone heel. But maybe he'll get his win now. And he loses to Sammy. And he loses to Sammy. And they do this will they, won't they bullshit with the f***ing Alpha Academy. Over and over and over again, and they never do it on the pay-per-view, and then they just walk off on him on a random episode of Raw, and he's left with nothing. He builds this new faction that does not seem important because they're not on pay-per-view, they're not factored into any of the championship plans, they don't matter. And when Chad Gable gets fed to the Wyatt family the first time, everyone gets mad at me because I didn't enjoy it, but Chad Gable was a ready-made main event upper mid-card babyface star that they've been trying to make him for a decade, and they f***ed it!
They put together that faction, and the first thing they did was just lose to the Wyatts.
Yeah.
That's not how you establish it. It is frustrating, that run to WrestleMania, because I was saying so many times on the Raw podcast, I was like, guys, it's going to be Sami Zayn. They're doing the Rocky story. They keep bringing up Rocky. It's in Philadelphia. They're going to do it. I was like, no, it's going to be Chad. It's going to be Chad. I'm like, guys, it's Rocky. I know Punk hasn't seen the movie, but they're doing Rocky.
You've had your chances multiple times over to do something with him, and they've actively chosen not to.
It's also killed the Afro Academy. Remember how over Otis was? Like the free Otis thing? That was so over. And because they did not do a blow-off angle to that thing. When they did that angle, me and Dan on the Raw podcast said like, oh, they must be doing a bigger angle at a different point because this was not the angle to break this team up. And they never did. That was the breakup angle.
I don't think there's a bigger squandered opportunity from WWE this year than this.
3, 2, 1.
What? What? TV time with Chris Jericho from Tempest.
That's a huge number 1 from I thought we were all going to have the same thing here because Ollie and I both got handshake.
Yep, handshake, yeah.
By the way.
Well, did you put it? Yeah, so you put Punk all-in footage. I've put AEW airing Punk and Perry on free TV. It's a pay-per-view broadcast.
AEW didn't handle the Ariel Helwani interview very well. Before we get into that, though, shall we? Let's have your little TV time because you have not been I at least have had my son of a bitch has done it again moments with him.
Well, see, this is why I have very distinctly put TV time with Chris Jericho rather than The Learning Tree. Because The Learning Tree, while I do not like the act, while I do not think it is good TV, at the very least has gotten Brian Keith on TV. Big Bill has done quite a lot with what he's been given. I think there have been some entertaining segments here and there. This shit, though, the last thing on this earth that I want to see when I am turning on an AEW Dynamite show is a f***ing pear tree and a TV in the middle of the ring trying to recapture some feeling of the highlight reel from 20 years ago. This is the most WWE light shit AEW has ever put on TV.
We're currently looking at TNA from 2006 for patreon.com/WrestleTalk. They were doing the VKM skits. And in those VKM skits, they were doing parodies of the bad comedy that WWE was doing with the DX reunion. So they were making fun of Fat Naked Oily Guy, and they had their own Fat Naked Oily Guy, and they were doing parodies of what they were doing. But then those parodies just became characters on their TV shows. All of a sudden, Fat Naked Oily Guy, he had a match on pay-per-view. So now, you're no longer in on the joke. The joke is part of your TV.
Sounds like you're being worked, brothers.
No, I just it's the last thing that I want to see. Never mind the fact that I'm not a big fan of Chris Jericho in 2024 anyway. But I don't want to see a horrible talk show segment on AEW. It's just, that's not what this show is for.
Me and Luke got really obsessed with the ratings graph for Dynamite. And it's got all these...
I'll send it to the editor. They can put it up on screen now.
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite thing this year. And it's got all the points of Dynamite was up at its highest high after All In 2021 with Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and everyone. And then you got all the little parts of things that affected it. Like when Sting retired at February in Revolution, you see a big drop off. You're like, wow, that's how much Sting meant. They air the Punk All In footage. And then that decline that was already in effect just gets really consistent and really steadily down in a way that was sort of more oscillating up and down beforehand. And honestly, if this wasn't my job, and I'm not I don't defend Punk in this situation, but if this wasn't my job, I would have stopped watching AEW at that point. I think it was a genuine, I'm done actually with this, I'll watch WWE.
If I can give it some form of credit, and I said this at the time and I stand by it, they at least tried to work it into a kayfabe situation. It was the Bucks that aired this footage, as you say, because it was a way to bring back Jack Perry. So they used it for a storyline reason. The real reason that they did it was because they handled that Ariel Helwani interview very, very badly. There's a lot of people tuned into this episode. It is, I think, their highest rated episode of the year. Looking at our own data and stuff, this is one of our most watched Dynamite reviews of the year because there were a lot of people who had things to say about it. The problem is what people had to say about it was, is that it? This is the thing that Tony Khan feared his life over, and that led to Punk getting fired and this, that, and the other. There was no outcome where this was a good idea. They did this for nothing but petty reasons, and it backfired on them more than I think I ever thought it could have done.
It also to pop a rating during a time when they just needed numbers ahead of the TV rights negotiations. But in that way, in the sort of pettiness and the desperationness, I feel like you've somehow managed to do an act that's the worst of TNA and the worst of WWE.
Yeah.
Like
a new low.
WWE
It's a new low.
just doing a petty thing. Oh, here's like an Ultimate Warrior burial or whatever. And then you've also got TNA stuff of, yeah, but if it pops a rating, we'll do anything.
I think this is a new low.
Tempest disagrees. I mean, it's not even on your list.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is in the top 10 things that would be the worst things that AEW put on TV. I don't think it's in the same stratosphere as the worst things that WWE or TNA have done.
I think creatively, yes, but as a business model, I think this is. I mean, there's data to prove that this had a detrimental effect. I think.
I don't want to look at charts when I'm talking about wrestling. I don't care about the ratings.
But I think creatively, it's not even ratings. I think it's attendance and stuff. I think this has backfired on them massively. This is a company that did not handle a PR situation very well. Instead of ignoring it and being a better, being the bigger man and putting on a really good TV show, they opted to lean into it and dedicate all of their TV time to it instead. And so the points have been totaled up. WWE's women's division is the #1 worst thing of 2024 with 24 points, followed by the CM Punk footage with 20, and Judgment Day's Vortex, or the Judgment Day drama, with 13 points.
That's your fault, that is. It's your fault for not putting that all in footage. If you just had it at 5th, there's number 6 or 5 in your table.
It's not on my list.
I think it is a fair list because this is like an all-year thing.
Mm-hmm.
This only really affects the second half of the year, and this has been going on for 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this format and want to see us count down the best matches of 2024, click the video on screen right now and head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to get a bonus exclusive episode. Yeah, that sounds like some ringing. Did you hear what was it? It sounds like someone's trying to call for their dog. That's right. Give me all the bells. Give me all the whistles. That is what I wanted from this match, and I got all of it.